people who are not too much into the tech domain, the understanding which I normally get is that uh, perhaps people are not very familiar with this entire exponential change which is taking place in technology. It's very crucial for us. And then I will dive right into a demo of generative text tools. So multiple tools, not just ChatGPT, but many more tools which I believe are as powerful or more powerful as ChatGPT. Then there are some tools on document summary, which is especially catered towards students. And I believe I had made a request to in a lot of forums for students to join in this session, because the idea was for this session to be useful to them to help uh, improve the way that they study, or use all these tools to 10x the kind of effectivity that they are getting in their daily studies. Uh, it can also be pretty beneficial for a young professional. So we have also that in mind. Some video summary tools is what we'll be discussing. And when I say discussing, I'll actually be sharing live demo of all these tools so that you can also know how to use it at your end. After that, we'll move on to Kuntal's demo of some AI and art related tools, and then we'll open the house for Q&A. Okay, and on the context setting part, so while we had given you out this invite for the event, it was we were a little curious to understand, what the kind of people who are interested in AI tools, and what we found was basically it was big chunk was student, but it was largely spread across all kinds of professionals as well. So, and a lot of queries that you put, we have noted all of them, and we will try to answer as many of them as we can during the session. So this is the age-wise breakup again for your understanding, that in the house you have different sorts of participants. We will again try to keep it balanced for people who are right in the school or college, or people who are early working professionals, or middle professionals. So we'll try to kind of keep a fair balance of different kind of audience that we have here. Okay, now the core part, and this is something which compelled us to take this session, is what we have felt while in the last 2-3 months, when this entire domain has, so to say, exploded right after ChatGPT in November got launched, and that kind of changed the landscape a bit. What So while using all these tools and focusing only on the learning aspect, one thing which we are not blind to is the fact that there is quite a bit of fear and anxiety about AI, and quite a bit of concern, especially. So I interact with young students a lot, and many sessions I've taken, the number one concern which they put is that, for example, somebody who is right now studying BCom, or somebody who is doing a BA course, what kind of impact will it have when they go to the job market? Because we are continuously hearing news about automation. We're continuously hearing news that there will be so many job losses. Then somewhere the young crowd definitely is getting a little disheartened, and then obviously it becomes our duty uh, to inform them and guide them in the right possible way. And we would definitely love this session to be something from where you can take away the kind of information and knowledge that we have, and then help it to empower uh, the students who you meet, or the young professionals who you meet. Kuntal, go back to the last slide, please. So I think this particular quote by Charles Dickens becomes extremely relevant here, that no one is useless in a world where you lighten the burden of others. And what we are seeing is, and through the demo I hope we'll be able to establish, that today, no matter what kind of skill sets you have, so all of us are unique, different, and we all come with different strengths. What I'm realizing is, through each of that skill set, you can literally create an impact, because now you can really utilize the benefit of that particular skill set which you have. So let's say you are somebody who's in the technology domain, or you are an UX designer, or you are an artist. The kind of influence you can have in the society just using your own core skill, we believe, has just the canvas for that has stretched a lot, because of the tools that we are already have access to, and the tools which we will be going to get access to. As somebody was mentioning, for example, that the quantum computing is going to make a huge dent in the kind of applications that we see. So this is, I think, one key thing which we have to keep in our mind. And the second one, Kuntal, if you go to the second slide. And the second one is, I believe now is the time. So me and Kuntal, we both have been proponents of uh, personalized education, and so we have always been associated with some form or the other where we do mentoring for young kids. I believe with the tools that we have today, you can easily help and become a mentor to other people, help them discover things, which is essentially what we understand the whole art of teaching is all about. Again, the session today will be pretty much focused on these two things. Using these tools, how do you empower those who are around you? How can you enhance and augment their capabilities and skill sets? And as we know that we kind of are in an age where there is tremendous amount of change happening. There's tremendous amount of progress happening. When some of when we keep hearing about the fact that we could soon become a space-faring civilization, sounds very over the top. But if you actually go a little deeper, you'll realize that it's not very far off from the truth. I'm going to the second part of the session today, which is some explanation of exponential technology and what AI basically stands for. Kuntal, I think it will be easier if I just do the navigation of the slide. So let me just share my screen. Okay, I hope you can see the screen. Kuntal, if you can confirm.
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
yes,
Yeah, yeah, perfect, perfect. So when it comes to putting wrapping our head around something like AI and trying to understand what the implications are, the one line which comes to my mind and I think describes it absolutely perfectly is, it is one of those sufficiently advanced technology which is pretty much indistinguishable from magic. And the image which you see in the background here is something that I generated in fact today using an image generation tool, basically using some very simple prompts. I don't think I could have ever imagined, not being a graphic designer or not being an artist, that I should be able to come up with some kind of images. But today, not just me, all of you, in fact, by the end of the session, even you will be able to generate something as detailed and well made as this. Very interesting chart here, or very interesting image here. In fact, I picked it up from Twitter because it more or less consolidated everything which I want to tell you about exponential technology. Is the amount of wisdom and amount of knowledge which is being generated in the society today has just ballooned. So if you look at the stack of books here, it is what is basically saying is that the initial stacks, every encyclopedia contains knowledge of 50 years. But as we are moving closer and closer to our current time period, we see that each book is containing a lot more amount of knowledge which was generated in a very short span of time. So largely, and while this might again seem like a hyperbole to some of you who are not closely in touch with what's happening in technology, but for some of us who are, and I'm sure there will be a lot in the audience who are pretty much close, you will pretty much resonate with what I'm saying here, that it is absolutely incredible to see that this kind of knowledge generation is happening in such a short span of time. Reason why we are saying that now that we have moved from industrial revolution to an information age and now to an exponential age, where things are no longer linear and we are just seeing exponents expressing itself in the society. One clear example of this is what's happened in the case of ChatGPT. In 5 days, reached 1 million. In 2 months, it's reached 100 million already, and it was just 2.5 months back. And you already see the kind of influence that it has had. And this is pretty much the tip of iceberg, is what we are seeing here. There will be so many more innovations coming, pretty much in this domain. It will be interesting to watch them out for. This is one of the reports, which somebody had put up on a social media site about the number of breakthrough in AI which happened only in the month of January 2023. It takes years and sometimes even half a decade for something so many amazing stuff to happen in a period, but which has happened in a period of a month. So again, example of the exponential technology which we're seeing here. These two gentlemen which you see in the slide here are people who perhaps will be the most renowned faces of 2023. On the left is Andrej Karpathy, who used to be the director of AI at Tesla, and now he has moved to OpenAI. On the right, of course, is Sam Altman, who is the one of the co-founders of OpenAI, and the kind of work which is coming out from OpenAI, not just ChatGPT but also DALLE 2, which again we'll be giving you a demo of, is a proof of the kind of impact that they're bringing in the society. And it's again, as I was telling you, just beginning. Just a brief timeline about AI. It's not that things have started just right now. It was in fact since 1950s, and since the concept of Turing test came, that this entire field was, you can say that it was born. And year after year, we have seen breakthroughs, but uh, there was quite a bit of time where we used to call it the AI winter, where was not much was happening. And I think we stand on a brink where from AI winter it is AI spring now, where literally everything is happening in this field. The reason why it's important for us to get together as a community and try to understand how it will have impact in our life. Gentleman here is called Alan Turing. I'm being a little fast here because I want to quickly move to the tool, but I think again some important concepts without knowing which going to the tool might not create as much impact. So Alan Turing is more or less known as one of the people who laid the foundation for AI. And again, you'll be hearing this word Turing test a lot uh, in 2023 if you have not heard it already. So if anybody in the audience at this stage would want to uh, detail out or just give your opinion on what a Turing test is, it will be pretty interesting. Have you heard of the Turing test? Do you know what it stands for?
Yeah, yes, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. So I actually listened to a podcast by Greylock Partners, Reid
Hmm.
Hoffman,
Okay.
wherein he was trying. The podcast was basically speech to text, text to speech,
Hmm. Hmm.
whole
Hmm.
podcast, and where that the objective of that podcast was to test whether ChatGPT or any generative technology can it break the or pass the Turing test. And
Okay.
what the
Okay.
Turing test says about is that the if I'm talking to you right now, I don't know if you are a human or you are uh, an artificial intelligence or a technology
Correct.
that's talking to
Correct.
me.
Correct. Bang on. Bang
And
on. It,
this is
yes.
basically the whole Turing test about.
Perfect. Perfectly described. So, in fact, I've just put a chart here which also explains the concept in a simple way. That imagine that you are an interrogator examiner, and there are people who are on the other side of a divide. You can't see them. Can you distinguish whether this is, let's say, object one and this is object two, or person one, person two? Can you actually identify which one is a human, which one is a machine? So the day that you cannot identify, a machine is comes across as a human, that day the Turing test will be passed. And uh, a lot of people in the industry are saying that this probably would be the year when the Turing test will be passed, which will obviously lead to a completely new set of technologies which will have huge impact on the society. A lot of people are also saying that we'll get to see what is being commonly referred to as the singularity, not this year, but at least in this decade, probably, which basically is a point where the intelligence or intellect that humans carry and the intellect which a machine brings on the table will basically come at par. And from there, while human intellect will continue to grow at the pace of research that we do, the pace at which the technological or the machine intelligence will grow will be exponential. So it will again be very interesting to see what kind of implications it can have on the society. One chart which I think encapsulates the entire thing that I have said so far in a very simple way is that we stand in this very unique place in human history, on the brink of it. The exponential part of the curve is just starting to get visible. From here, things will just speeden up, get really fast. So it becomes all the more important for us to kind of fasten our seatbelt and absorb and upgrade ourselves as much as we can, which is what the session today is all about. Uh, and when I'll be giving you a demo of the all these tools today, you what you will be seeing in action is basically, in simple word, it can be called the work of a digital brain. And if you understand, even if I were to make you understand the basic of AI, largely it's all about replicating the way our own brain works. So there is something that is called the neural networks, which is the term that we use in computer sciences to describe how the inner working of an AI tool is established. Pretty much takes the concept from how the human neuron, how that is there in our brain, works. So there is an input and there's some processing and an output. Pretty much the same happens in the machine also. In fact, uh, while human brain is limited in terms of space, whereas in machine you can actually expand the network uh, to a very very large degree compared to human brain. Reason why you can hope someday in the future to create a machine which is more intelligent than the human mind, because essentially you are replicating the brain but increasing the overall capacity and the size of it.
Yeah,
uh,
and just to add to
yes.
that, the timeline for that to happen is being predicted at around 2029 to 2030 by most of the experts in this field. So we are not very far away from the time when machines will pass the Turing test. And after that, the progress in the capability of machines will be exponential. So that's the curve that you saw.
Right. And one word more which has pretty much become a buzzword is LLM, which is stands for large language model, which is what ChatGPT is, which is what a lot of ChatGPT like products which you see in the market today is. So a lot of text is fed to the model, which was a neural network, and from there you get text outputs. But though that output need not be text, it can also be an image, which Kuntal will be giving you a demo of. It can also be a voice, which again I will be giving you a demo of. It can be video as well. So these are but largely large language models which initially take their data from all the text, and by text they basically have consumed all the text which is available online on the internet in the form of books or transcripts of videos, etc. Uh, One fear which again doing the rounds, and I think the news media houses typically tend to uh, amplify this a lot more, is the once you have this truly intelligent machine, that will be humanity's last invention, because after that machines will be doing most of the discoveries and inventions. Those of us who are more in the positivist side of technology circles, what we believe is there will be a very fair integration of machine and man, and this is what we have seen so far. uh, and the reason why I don't think any of the all the sensational news which comes kind of makes much of an impact. It's largely for us, largely it's a waste of time, and uh, we strongly urge you to kind of be on the side of the positive aspects of all this development rather than into fear mongering, which we see spread out. This one last line or quote before I move to the actual demo. I think Naval captures this pretty accurately, that when it comes to automation, the whole idea is that you don't have to do anything twice. So what will remain relevant, what will remain very important is creativity and judgment, which is something that which is the essence of being human is all about. So not much of a fear or not much of a hesitation uh, about whatever is going to happen in times to come. Now with this, let me jump to the first tool, which is ChatGPT. And while I give you a small demo of ChatGPT, I understand that all of you are already using it. So what I can do is, for those of you, especially your students, young professionals, can you see my Word document?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, perfect. So I'll start. I'd like to start with this, and I think this is the important part. So what I have done is I have taken some prompts from across sources and categorized it on areas which are of immediate need and utilization for us. So from something like if you're a student and you're practicing how to debate, or you're a student, you are trying to learn a subject, or you're preparing for an interview, or you want career counseling, or you want a personal trainer, you want a therapist. Now these are actually use cases for which something like a chat gpt or some similar platforms like chat gpt can be extremely useful. Now, the one thing which I think we have been inculcated or used to for a very long time is to use the Google search engine. So we usually put up a question and it basically gives us an answer in the form of web links. And what when I'm talking to a lot of students, or a lot of people who are, I will not say too deep into this, is they usually still stick at asking simple questions to the tool, which is ChatGPT, whereas the whole idea is that this is a language model, a lot of intelligence, but also it is, you can think of it as somebody like he's like a 3 to 4 year old child who does not really know how to respond to you in the kind of depth that you want it to. So what you will have to do is, and this has worked brilliantly for me, at least for the kind of input which I wanted it to generate, output which I wanted it to generate, is you have to tell it very specifically the scenario that it has to play. I'll take the first example, and I will use this example to go live on ChatGPT. So I'm putting the, I'll just refresh it a bit so that it's live. So fundamental premise behind usage of ChatGPT is, you ask it to imagine scenarios first. You put it in a position, because then it becomes easy for it to draw upon which data bank that the user is looking at. So the first line that I put here is, I want you to act as a debater. Okay. I will provide you with some topics related to current event, and your task is to research both sides of the debate, present a valid argument for each side, refute opposing points of view, and draw persuasive conclusion based on evidence. Your goal is to help people come away from the discussion with increased knowledge, insight, and topic at hand. So the idea is to be very detailed, give it as much input as you can in your first prompt, build a scenario, and then go around asking questions to it. So my first request is, I want you to make a motion against artificial intelligence, let's say. Now you see the kind of responses it will give you. It will be much more nuanced and much more useful, much more powerful, so to say. Okay, so I asked you to motion against, right? So you see, it's talking about those concerns which, in fact, we are also getting to hear, concerns like job displacement, of ethics, then lack of accountability. It will keep drawing that. Now, once you have had that particular piece listed, then further on you can question about, speak for the motion. Okay, so let me.
One
Okay.
person has their hand raised. Paneer, do you want to speak up or
Yeah,
is
you
it
can,
raised by
because
mistake?
it's the idea is answer is being generated, so you can take a question.
Okay, I'm not sure if it is raised by mistake or intentionally.
So it's still going on, generating that very detailed answer, and the answer was detailed mostly because the prompt itself was very detailed, right? So it
Yeah.
gave you 4 points which was against the motion, then it gave you those 4 points against, for the motion. So pretty much, a very balanced debate.
Yeah. In
uh,
fact, just to add to this, so a real life use case for people whoever is working in a business position is, if you're going for a meeting, right, and if you are making a sales case, or if you are going to make a pitch, then you can always use this to figure out what the other person might be thinking. So you can always find talking points here. Why should someone agree to you? Why should they not agree to you? And it can be used by students, of course, but by working professionals also, you can actually empower yourself in terms of what other person might be thinking, using ChatGPT, because many a times our thoughts are limited in terms of our own ideas as well as uh, ideas of what others think. So I think this can be. Any has any business case study tried here? Business case study in the sense, would you like to elaborate? You can unmute yourself also.
Yeah, hi Kuntal. So I, just picked up from what you were saying that, we can prepare better when we know what the other person might argue.
hmm.
So
Yeah.
we have these case studies where you have a context and then you need to answer certain questions and then maybe debate. So just I was thinking if any such problem statement has been given to the AI and it must have responded with some calculation or some mathematical, logical, financial explanation. Has that been tried?
We have not tried it. I mean, maybe after this call, you can try it. Just maybe
Yeah.
use a regular case, give it to the AI and ask. So, like the
Okay.
way in college, teachers used to ask us to elaborate. Maybe it can do it like in 2 minutes what we used to do in 4 hours or like
Mm.
a couple of
In,
hours.
in my case, I keep tinkering with a lot, and what I have realized is when it comes to, let's say, going down to the pure numbers, that is still an area where it is not very strong. But when it comes to the strategic part of things, there it is super strong. So I have given many cases to build up a business model. So let's say I want to create a pitch document on this particular business. It is fairly detailed on what kind of overall structure because that's the kind of input it already has. But I think if you give it an actual scenario of which is calculation of a lot of numbers, I think this is not the right tool for it. ChatGPT will not be very, very good with that at this stage. Though it can make tables and stuff, and I've seen that it is very good at making those tables. If you can make some calculations on the table, that is also
Yeah.
pretty
I
much
think
possible.
guesstimations also. So if you want to assess maybe like how many people are there in a state and how many people might be using this service. So if you want to do some estimations of your business, something like that, maybe I've not really tried it, but basically it's up to you. I think a lot of things can
Mm.
be tried, and it's been only 2 months, so a lot of use cases to be covered as
Yes,
per
and the
individual.
crux of I think what we are trying to tell you is that it is largely about the prompt which you are using. So in fact, you would know that there is something called a prompt engineering, which has already become
Yeah.
a well-known term, and that is the area where we need to then up our game. Can we ask it good quality better questions? And for me, what I have seen is few things which have worked out very, very well for me is just how imaginative I am in the questions that I'm asking, how objective I am. Am I thinking like an engineer or a scientist, which is basically thinking structures, thinking logic flow, and not asking things which are have circular reasoning to it, so it will get confused and not give you good output. So that, and I think there's so many resources right now just around creating prompts. So if you were to ask me to divert my energy right now to become a power user of AI, I will say I will want to be a very, very good prompt engineer. I would really want to know. And so for example, if you would have heard about this thing called Socratic reasoning, the way Socrates of Greece, the philosopher, used to ask questions, you'd be surprised how effective that method is to get a good answer out of ChatGPT. In fact, I'll just show you one more tool now, because my basic assumption is that everybody of you have used ChatGPT quite a lot. So idea is to also give a flavor to you of what are the other tools which are extremely powerful. So this particular tool here is called Character.ai, made by some very sharp minds out there in the Silicon Valley, and it essentially captures what I was telling you so far about prompt engineering, right? So what they have done is they have created small models. For example, there's a psychologist, there is a creative helper, or there is a life coach or a librarian. So in fact, I was just having a chat with this particular librarian, and I was asking it, give me some books which give you good idea about what life after AGI will be all about. And so I just gave 3 words to it, because I just wanted to check whether the prompt has already been built in or not. So for ChatGPT, I had to build an entire scenario, right? When it comes to character.ai, this character is already established, so it behaves and thinks like a librarian. So the only prompt I gave was life after AGI, and it is telling me that if you're interested in AGI and singularity, I would recommend the works of Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, etc., etc., etc. Now, let me go ahead and ask some other questions. Key business KPIs, let's say, or key business, let's say KPIs. What does it say to that? So here it definitely reduces a lot of thinking, which let's say can go around in uh, coming up with very effective prompts. It takes away the need for that. So quite a lot of pain point removed there. So I will say this, in my mind, this is a better tool than ChatGPT, because this is very specific. So again, it is giving you all the right books, but because it's a librarian, obviously it will only respond by giving what kind of books you can read to get your answer. So let's see what are the other characters. Let's say if you're a student, what kind of characters can be very useful to you as a student. So let's say there was this um a learning partner. Okay, so what you can use with this learning partner is that it's a student. So basically, whatever you have learned, you can use it as a study buddy, so to say. And let's say I ask it that I'm saying thermodynamics, and then let's see what it responds with. You see, now it is making it becomes very conversational. So it's behaving like a friend. Okay, I love thermo. I did an internship at a geothermal power plant. Tell me about it. What is your understanding of the first law of thermodynamics or just the concept of thermodynamics? So let's say you say something and it kind of realizes that, you know what, you're not, uh, because the tone is such that even if you tell it a wrong answer, you'll not feel very intimidated, and then you can enjoy your learning journey with somebody who's basically your study partner. Similarly, you can have so many more characters here you can interact with. Some, if you want to, let's say, write a story, or if you want some fitness coaching, etc. You don't have to do all the hard work; it's already been done for. Okay, so that's a tool which I believe is very effective. You should go for it and explore it on your own. Then the other one, again, not very well known, is called Knowledge GPT. It has come out pretty recently. What it does is, basically, you can give it an article or any kind of a PDF document, be it a book or a, something that, your own document, your own work that you have done, uh, 15 MB limit. And once you upload it, so let's say, let me try and upload some document here. I'm doing a course right now, so I'm just uploading one of the study materials from that course. So once you upload it, I can ask questions about it. What are the top 5 takeaways from this article? So this basically speeds up the way in which, okay, right now it's showing an error because it's absolutely a new tool, and I think it will need an API key.
Yes, Varun.
Shabir, just one question.
Yeah.
In this case, are we providing a reference point to the GPT, or we are defining the universe? So when I say reference point,
Hmm.
we are just providing the context, and then
Hmm.
it will, give answers
Hmm.
depending upon the AI and the intelligence,
Hmm.
and versus the universe that is present in the document, and it will
Yeah.
answer only what is present
It
in the
will
universe.
it will answer only what is present in the document, but the good part is that, see, GPT is intelligent. It has acquired a lot of intelligence in how to respond to your question, right? So for example, I ask it, what are the top 5 takeaways from this article? So it is giving me the top 5 takeaways, but the intelligence which already carries on, this is the answer which is concise and to the point. That comes from, let's say, the larger model. But when you talk about the actual response, it only comes from this document which I've uploaded here, which is this 6 artifact from the future. So
Okay.
this 1 MB document is the core point of reference, but obviously the skill is derived from the larger, training which it has received at the OpenAI front. So very easily it is able to tell me these are the 5 points which are the key, and then obviously I can go on interacting with it, getting all the details. And trust me, from my perspective, it is so much more fun now to learn complex, detailed document. One more tool here called Humata. Here in the right side, you see that there is a research paper, which is it's obviously written by social researcher, and I can go and ask questions about this particular paper. What are the key findings in this research paper? Those of you who study or who had to study research, you know how complex and dense the language usually is because it's written in pure academical language. Some of us who are working professionals, find it a little challenging because we don't use that language in our day-to-day work. But now this makes it pretty easy, right? So they have just given you the key findings. So key finding in this research paper is that Aries proposed the childhood is a modern construct, highlighting that childhood were not always seen as precious, depending on the need of adult protection, etc., etc. And it also tells you where all it is picking the data from. So you can click on this particular number; it will tell you what are the reference. How is it able to come at this summary? You can again, put this in bullet points, which is typically something which an MBA will ask it to do. So it will put the answer in a bullet point, right? So again, I think super useful tool, but I'll now move to the next one because there's lot many tools still left. This tool, I'll just quickly give you a demo of it. So I was looking at this video where one of our respected physicists, Stephen Wolfram, was explaining what ChatGPT does, and you'll be surprised how some of the smartest brains in the world today are all studying this LLMs and knowledge models. So what I can do is I can just copy the URL of this YouTube video, and it could be any YouTube video. It could be anything at all, like podcast or movie or whatever. And within seconds, it is giving me the entire flow of the video. So it is telling me during 0 to 1 hour, this is the crux of the discussion. 1 to 2 hour, crux of the discussion. 2 to 3 this, and if I want details, I can get the details also. So what are the overall discussion that has happened? Now imagine the kind of time it can save you, how it can power your learning if you are a student or a young professional who's getting exposed to some new industry. Just I think rather than weeks, in days you can cover the topics. Another, and this will be the last demo which I'll be doing before I pass it on to Kuntal.
I think
Is
some people are asking, I just want to take this question, that
okay.
how will the issue of plagiarism be
Mm,
solved, and if the students are copy pasting answers? So
mm,
I think the answer, I think it's an important thing to discuss, because this is a very big question and a very challenging time for academia for sure, as
yeah,
to what
yeah,
we
yeah.
consider original, and is
Correct.
learning everything and then reproducing in your own language, is that good? So I'm not sure if there is a right answer to this right now. But the practical thing is that it can't be stopped.
Yeah,
Basically,
it can't. It's just like you.
that is the reality. So whatever response comes from the academic community will have to build on the fact that they can't just stop the students. And now each time you ask AGI to answer, or not AGI, but like AI to answer a question, it answers differently. So you
Yeah.
can't say that this is the same answer, and you can actually compare it with an answer that has been generated. So Shabbir, do you have any other ideas on this? Because many people have this question. Some teachers are also present
Hmm.
in this call.
So I think we have to treat AI tools the same way that we treated calculator. So when calculator came, did we tell our students or our kids do not use calculator because it will rot away your ability to do calculations? No, because there are some calculations which we are better off doing in a calculator, and there are some calculations which we do mentally, and that makes sense. So in the same way, we'll have to now bifurcate our questions. So there will be some exams where we should have, let's say, for example, there were exams in my own university days where calculator was allowed, some exams where it was not allowed. In the same way is what I think we should be using ChatGPT. In fact, now this gives us, as if I was a teacher or a professor, now it gives me an opportunity to ask deeper questions. That can I ask a questions of the sort where I'm asking a student to critically analyze the answer which a ChatGPT has given. What is your opinion on this particular aspect of any theory that is being taught to you? So I think we can get much more creative with the kind of tools that we have now.
We have two more questions which we'll quickly take. One
Okay.
from Ramesh, ma'am. I think you can unmute. Okay, I don't know. And then Yash.
So just not another question, just adding to a point that isn't this same discussion where we are discussing as professionals, can AI take away our jobs? On some level, isn't this the same thing that's for plagiarism as far as students are concerned? We have to be positive or optimistic that we can find a way to navigate through this and leverage the whole realm of opportunities that we have here, which can really uh, move us into not focusing on mundane tasks. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
saying that the assignments and everything is mundane. It's there for a reason, but just to trying to draw parallels between our sort of hypocrisy of looking at same thing as a professional, we are positive or optimistic about it, but at an academic
Yeah.
level, we are trying to shy away from being politically correct or
But I
something.
think it's a natural reaction, no? I mean, any kind of transformative technology which comes, there will always be divided reactions to it, and it's natural. It takes time for things to kind of settle down.
Yeah.
For even for academia, imagine for for decades that something has been done in a certain way, and now suddenly we have to
Change it.
change. So, but I think the fact that we're talking about it,
But I
it's
think
a
it would be
proof.
right. As I think someone mentioned, it would be a good question to even ask the AI, like what should be the alternative now that we are facing this problem. I have not tried it, but
But they
I
have
have
already
now.
built tools, So OpenAI, the company who has made ChatGPT and DALLE, they have also made a tool which is a plagiarism checker. So those tools are already in place. But then the question becomes, the larger question becomes, shall we give access to our students for tools like this? I believe we should, because that obviously accelerates their learning speed, and we can't afford not to let
Yeah,
them
I
know
think
about all this.
early adopting is something that will whoever will early adopt will benefit for sure
Yeah.
because it's changing so fast. I
The
think we
professors and the teachers should also apprise themselves, I guess.
Manish also has a hand up. We'll quickly take question. Manish, you have a question? Oh.
Yeah, so like I had asked that on chat earlier. Basically, where is the base data coming from for ChatGPT or
I
all
had
of these?
asked ChatGPT this question.
Okay, and
So it basically told me it has gone through all the available material which is there on the internet.
but
Uh,
how is it validating those? Like, there is a lot of nonsense on the internet as well, right? So,
yeah, yeah.
is there any kind of filtration happening there? And number two is, like, how is it learning? So basically, when I have tried ChatGPT, they are not asking me for any inputs as to whether the answer was helpful, not helpful, correct,
Mm,
incorrect,
mm,
etc. Then
mm.
how are all of these interactions actually helping until unless they are manually going through every answer ChatGPT is
They're
saying and
not.
then training the model. So just curious about that as well. Like
Mm, mm,
some kind of input from the users is necessary for this exponential learning, right? You would try to crowdsource it, right?
mm,
So yeah,
mm,
both of
mm,
these questions basically. And like
mm.
on the first one also, like how is it evolving? Like the base data, right? Whatever it has, uh, how is that evolving? And second is this.
Mm, mm.
The,
So see, as in, so the face of OpenAI or the final product that we're seeing right now, this has been in development for so long. So you'd know that the Chat GPT you are accessing right now is 3.5. There was also
right.
a Chat GPT 1, 2, 3. In fact, now we are going to see Chat GPT 4 being launched, 5 being launched, and each of them are much better than the previous one because it's not a linear curve, as I had said earlier. It's an exponential curve, so it is getting better at exponential pace. And in fact, currently in the entire team of ChatGPT has largely been involved in refining the model, right? With the different kind of algo which they are running. So I would not really know the inner working of what the ChatGPT team is actually doing.
Right.
But if I were to kind of, let's say, look at some of the other tools and how they are able to give you a defined answer, that gives me an indication. So there's this particular tool, in fact, which I thought I'll give you a demo of also. It's called Perplexity. So
Okay.
Perplexity is very similar to Google, but the difference is it is Google plus ChatGPT combined. Okay, so in fact, let me just quickly take you through it so it kind of you get a better sense of this. And again, I think you guys should use it actively because the day I discovered Perplexity, I have not been really using Google much. So here you can ask a question to it. Okay, and so let's say, um, how can I plan my personal finance in 2023? Let's ask it a basic question, which I think all of us ask ourselves at the beginning of the year. So it is giving you some advice, so which is some advice which is Chat GPT style, but it is also telling you where to go. So one way for you to understand this is this answer which is giving you. So it is just like Wikipedia cites a reference. So for each of the sentences, it is actually telling you this is where it has picked up, or maybe just put it in a paraphrased way. And this is essentially what ChatGPT or a character AI or Humata also does. So they take a huge amount of data and make sense of it and summarize it. So that, and they put it in a natural language model, which is what the uniqueness of it is. So far, we knew about. So if you understand coding even a little bit, the whole idea is that computer talks in binary, which is 0 and 1. If we talk in languages, which is English or Hindi or Japanese, when you write a code, essentially what happens is you are creating an interface where your language can be interpreted by the machine. So from a human language to a binary. Now, LLM models or this entire generative AI, they use what is called NLM, which is natural language model, which is essentially, in fact, Andres Karpathy, who is, the photo which I showed you, the director of Tesla AI, he put it in a very simple language. He said, now English is the language of coding. So
Right.
essentially, the model, what it's doing is it's using your language and using just that language itself to communicate to the computer, rather than having a coding language to be in the middle of it. And the reason why you also see the rise of no code. You would have heard this word a lot, right? That you, without
Yeah. Yeah.
knowing to code, you can let's say build an app or a website.
Right.
Okay. Cool. We have 4 minutes left, so probably I'll quickly browse through the next and maybe take 5 minutes extra. So the filter that you see on my face is basically representative of what the gears that we might have in coming years to expand
In fact,
our visual field,
we
and
had
or
also
we might
planned
have
Kuntal to
some.
kind of speak in different celebrity voices, something a technology which is already there, but we,
We
we
don't
didn't
have.
take a risk with it because we thought in the session might get interrupted because it
Yeah.
was not perfect yet.
Cool. So I
Mm.
think quickly let's move to the visual tools, the visual AI tools that are present. So these are three images that I made today, and it took me 3 minutes. So that's the beauty of the tools that are already present. They are not extremely advanced, I would say, but much more than what could have happened, um, uh, or much more than what was there a few months back. So let's understand how these image tools work. So when we draw, right, when we draw and we paint, what happens is we get an idea. So we want to paint, okay. We think about it. So for example, let's say I want to make a painting of a village with mountains and sunrise happening. Now our mind basically looks for that image from whatever we have seen in life, right? So whether we have seen it in real life, whether our teacher made us draw the same thing from another painting. So there's all this information that is stored. And then we look for means to reproduce that information. So we look for paper, we look for pen, or we look for colors, and then we draw it out. And as we are drawing out, we are also making changes, whether we are liking or not. We are rubbing it, we are redrawing it, we are thinking, and then finally we actually reproduce. Now what's happening in this format, this AI, is there's this input that we are giving in terms of text, right? So in the first one I said two swans, white swans, swimming in a pond where there are white lotuses, and it has to be like a sort of like a oil painting. Now, what it is doing with my words is it's looking for similar things in a large database of image and text. So there's this massive database that system has been fed on, and it's almost like a brain, but not as complex as our brain. So it is a neural network. Neural network means that there's a electronic layer of neurons, you can say, which is working on this data. We are giving it some input, and using that input, it is trying to churn various options. So reason why whenever you put some prompt, it's called prompt. Prompt means some text. You get a number of images, and those are slightly different from each other. You can pick and you can build on them. So that's simply how these, in very simple language, most of these tools right now work. Most of them right now are working on text. Some of them are taking text and some drawing indication also from our end. Now, the question is that most of us might not be actual artists by profession, right? So we might be business people, we might be doing some other work, we might be students. So how is it then important for us? So there are 5 key areas that I thought which makes this important and makes this useful for us, despite of the fact that we might not actually be artists in terms of our profession. We might not be like creative engineers or UX designers or UI designers or painters. So the first one is education, wherein if you are a teacher of any form, you are teaching something to others, then you can use these tools to create images of what you want to show. So for example, you want to show, say there's a primary school teacher who wants to show rain. So she can just simply write um, a green field, clouds above, there's rain, and there's a small boy standing and getting wet by the rain, maybe, right? And the thing is that the teacher can then tinker it based on their own creativity. So something like that is very, very good, especially when you want to give a personalized touch to what you are. So if you're a passionate teacher, you would really love to use these tools. Second is content creation. So all of us are mostly doing some or other form of content creation. If we are not doing, that's a side advice that most of us should start doing some form of content creation. Now, any content that you're doing, right? We're writing a post, then if you add an image to it, um, it will make it more engaging for the audience. So earlier, we used to find images on Google, and then we'll find copyrights. Okay, then we have to put that sign on the image will come. Now that those issues have been resolved, so you can just go to these tools. You can do some prompting, and you will come back with an image which you can openly use. Right. The next one is exploring creativity, which would mean mostly after school, once we start working, we tend to only stick to what has been told to us in the office. Right? We do not do any creative work, and many of the times we don't do it because we don't get time, or we get lazy because a lot of effort in doing something. At least when it comes to drawing, most of the kids, when we were in school, we used to do a lot of drawing, but it sort of decreases as we age. So I think this is the chance for all of us to explore that creativity again. And as far as I've noticed about myself, although I do a lot of drawing and painting on the side, but it does give me a dopamine hit when I'm prompting and I'm creating a beautiful image. So from that perspective, I think it's really useful. The next thing is how to monetize it. So I think all of us can easily use these images. We can come up with very quirky images and then just get them printed on t-shirts, or if you want to gift to someone can tinker with their own, like upload their image, make some changes, and then you can get it printed on whatever you want to. So that's again a very good use case. And the fifth one, which I wanted to share, was dream boarding. You may have heard about something called dream boarding, wherein whatever you want in your life, you will put it, like find pictures around it. So if you want a certain kind of house, or if you want a certain kind of job, now I think these AI tools make that dream boarding very, very easy, because you can actually write what you want and it will come out in a picture. And if you take a printout and put it in front of you, I think that becomes a very, very powerful visual tool to reinforce your mind to work towards it. So all these use cases are something that I'm already using and will continue to use these tools on. So these are just some images that I created. Just a funny thing about AI right now, that it's not very good at creating hands and faces till now. So as you can see, the hands in both the images and the face are blurry. But essentially, the prompt that I gave them was that there's a girl with curly hair. She's standing in a balcony, sipping tea, looking far, far ahead of her. And these are the two different kind of images that came up. Moving ahead, played some more. So these are all different tools, and as you can see, the quality of the images are very, very different from each other. And as you can see, this was in the prompt, it was mentioned samosa, an alligator making a samosa, but you can see that the samosa is not very well defined, which means, and I've also noticed this, that these AIs are not very good at Indian contextual images. So these are the major tools that are there, starting with the DALLE 2, then Midjourney, Stablediffusion, Diffusion, and Leonardo.ai. So two of them free. This one is free for early access users, but I'm sure they will give some trials free and then charge for it. So essentially, ChatGPT is fully free, right? Because it will get monetized in different other ways. But in this image generation, mostly we have seen that for after a trial, they are charging money. So this is one limitation that is there currently, but people who might be using it professionally, they will, I think, be okay to pay for it going forward, reason why they have kept this revenue model. But as times progress, maybe some of them will become free. But right now, this is the case. So let me show you.
Sorry, I was on mute. I was saying you can mention, Kuntal, those of who are Discord users. For them, it's obviously so much more easier. So maybe you can share that.
Midjourney, right?
Midjourney. There's a tool called Blue Willow, which is as good as Midjourney. Discord, I think, is a great place to be in right now. Yeah.
So we just Can you see my screen? Yes.
Yeah, it's visible.
So this is a tool called Stablediffusion, wherein you draw something and then you write, and then it will give you an image. So let me say any prompts that the audience will want me to draw. Anything?
You go for normal village scenery.
Okay. So all of us know this. And I'm drawing it with my finger. My screen is touch screen. So there is a sun. Then, as we all know, there is a river. And then there will be
Hut.
hut.
Okay.
And then there will be a well. And there will be a lady. I don't know.
That's very detailed.
Okay. So
Now,
then we'll have to write about it. Okay.
prompt could be make it in the style of some, I don't know, some Renaissance artist or maybe Madhubani or something like that.
Let's see what comes. This was the pizza image that I was showing you. As you can see, right? So I put in pizza with strawberries on it, and it turned out to be pretty well. So it depends. I mean, sometimes you will get good. Okay, so
Oh,
this is
nice.
so I think yeah, pretty decent. If my daughter wants some homework, something, I can just print it out and like I can ask her to make. So this is how it looks like. Let's try another one. Maybe not
Maybe use
similar to
another
this
tool.
one, but
Mhm.
I'll show you some images on maybe 1 second.
We only see the Scribble diffusion screen right now.
Can you see this one?
Yeah, this is
So this is
Leonardo.
from Leonardo.ai. We'll not go in making the images, but as you can see, this was my photo and then a profile was added to it. So this is how it turned out. And this is basically, this can give you much more advanced images as compared to other tools. The prompting is also very detailed and you can also copy prompts from other creators here. So this is how the homepage looks like. This is a limited edition. So not
So the good thing about this tool is that this works on a community model. So basically, let's say people from across the globe, they are using different kind of prompts to come up with amazing images. So what you do is then you don't start from scratch like ChatGPT. In ChatGPT, you start from zero. Here, what you do is you already can see, what are the good prompts or good models which has already been built, and then you can build on top of that. So basically, you then have to tinker around the prompt rather than creating prompt on your own. Which an example I showed you in character AI also, that you don't have to put the entire prompt from zero. You already have models there. So for example, some model is, let's say, maths teacher. So it already knows that you'll be asking questions around mathematics.
so like
So
these are the
yeah,
models as you can see, right? So the image that will come out will be in
on
this
this
format,
theme, yeah.
in this theme, and then you put the prompt.
So basically, what I have seen is in the
That's how
last
it will
3 months, 3 months back, it used to be a lot of effort to use these tools. If you ask me today, it has just become more and more and more seamless. And what I can see is it's only gonna get more easy. But I think it's a good time to get hop onto all of this, because then you will be able to use all the advanced features very easily.
So yeah, I think that's all because we have already crossed time. We'll stop here. If there are any questions, we can take them for next
Maybe
5 minutes.
give one small tool or demo of DALLE 2, Kuntal, for those of you might because DALLE 2 is like very publicly open and easy to use, so that could be useful. Maybe that's the last demo, and then we can close.
So this is the DALLE tool. I have some prompt. 1 second, let me copy. So maybe we can change it. Any suggestions? Alligator, robot, cleaning the house with a mop, 3D colored high-resolution.
Disney style maybe, or Pixar style. So these kind of prompts are really helpful because it then draws on every Pixar image or
Let's
every
see.
Ghibli studio image and then uses.
We can actually have pre-production design of samples for certain items if you are taken to production of.
Okay, see, oh my God, this is better than what I had expected.
Mhm. In the chat, Shashank is writing a tea party of Hindu and Roman mythological heroes. That's
Okay,
nice.
this also I like. So
You
I'm
can
just,
just
so
copy
as you
paste
can
it.
say, I can just download it and use it anywhere. And like you can use it in your work PPTs. It's pretty good. Okay, someone has put in a prompt, is it?
Yeah. So you
Okay,
can just
I'll
copy
just
paste it
copy.
directly, yeah, right away.
Sure.
Just
Tea
add a little
party.
bit more detail to it.
But I think we will have to add more detail because this is not.
Just add little more detail to it, maybe. Maybe just make it cinematic 8K, uh, photorealistic.
Let's see.
Okay.
Okay. Not, I won't say very good
Yeah. But maybe we
because
need to
it
get,
doesn't know.
for
Yeah.
these kind of stuff, you need to get more detailed also,
Detail. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this
Maybe
is fine, at least it's the beginning.
Yeah.
went a bit on overdrive for with the brown color.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Let me change the, not tell the color. Let's see what happens. We have removed the color. Let's see what happens.
Yes, somebody is asking about sharing the email address. So what we'll do is, so you had registered on a link, right? On that link itself, we'll share all these, whatever demo we gave you. In fact, there
Yeah.
were quite a lot of demo. Even I could not show you. So we'll give you a link of all the demos so that you can use. The whole idea was, in fact, kind of pass it on to you guys. So we'll be giving you all the links and our contacts also
Yeah.
on the same link so that you can reach
On
out
the
to us.
email ID that you registered with. So we are going to send it on that. Yeah,
Yes, and
Manish.
shall we
Right.
take some questions and maybe formally close?
Yeah, we
So
are closed
formally we
now.
are close, but if some of you want to stay back behind for maybe 10 more minutes for some Q&A, happy to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have it on the next slide or something of that sort, but basically, are there any websites or blogs or newsletters we should be following to be on the cutting edge of this going forward?
Yes.
We'll make that
So
newsletter.
That'll be great.
No, I mean, we have the same concern actually. Like, because we
yeah.
were discussing, Shabbir is on multiple groups where so much information is being shared, but it's not in one place. So I think
Right.
this is a challenge that everyone is facing. So we are trying to figure out ourselves also.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now that we have your contact info properly, we'll keep you posted on whatever comes, either ours or like.
Yeah,
Sure,
you
sure.
will be the final inspiration behind creating a newsletter. Okay.
That'd be great. Yeah.
I'll also put all this in a text box right now, so you can right away
Yeah,
use it.
copy it.
I'll just
Correct.
copy. I'll do that, Kuntal. You can take the questions if somebody
Yeah.
has.
And also, we are going to, whenever the video comes in, we will upload it on our YouTube channel. So it
I've
remains, basically, we wanted it to remain so that whoever has not been able to come, they can see it later very easily.
I've shared all the